This is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
We have had an unhinged week 14 so far, beginning on Thursday Night Football and continuing all the way through the Sunday Night Football game between the Chargers and the Chiefs. And we're hoping we can close things out on a high note here as we get the Bengals against the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. Should be a pretty fun one. For today, our job is to dig into this game, lay out my favorite bets at FanDuel Sportsbook for this one to get you ready to close out week 14 and hopefully a fun and profitable note. This is Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast. My name is JimSannes. I'm a managing editor for FanDuel Research, here to break down my thoughts on the Bengals at the Cowboys on Monday Night Football, breaking down my best bets and player props for tonight's game. We'll dive into all that here in just 1 second, but first, a reminder to make sure you are subscribed to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcasts. Tomorrow, we'll go game by game through Week 15 in the NFL, breaking down my models, spread, and total predictions for these games. And then on Wednesday, we're going to break down the college football playoff bracket with Dr. Ed Feng of the Power Rank, getting his thoughts on this year's bracket, some futures he likes, and much more to get you ready for the bracket there. Thursday, best bets, Friday, player props, all as always in this exact same feed. So search for Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcasts, hit subscribe, and if you like what you hear, leave us a 5-star rating and review as well. Don't forget as well, we are on this brand new YouTube page Monday through Friday, 6 times total per week with the DFS show there as well. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, live on the YouTube page, 4 p.m. on Wednesday with Ed. So subscribe there, leave us a thumbs up if you like what you hear, and enable notifications to get notified as we go live each and every weekday. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more at FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, an affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC. First online, real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued is now withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Let's take a look here at the betting odds for the Bengals and the Cowboys at FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Bengals favored by 5.5, and the total in this game is 49.5. In a week where scoring has been flowing from start to finish, of course, we want to go with the under for Monday Night Football between the Bengals and the Cowboys. It's at 49.5 right now. Under is -112. I have this at 47, in large part because I can't get a total into the 50s when Cooper Rush is one of the starting quarterbacks. No disrespect to Rush, who's played really well the past couple of days, but you play a more conservative offense when you've got some restrictions at quarterback. You're going to go with more dump-offs. You're going to go with more running plays, and those things run clock. I do worry about this Bengals defense because Sheldon Rankins is out once again, but I don't think we'll see an explosion from the Cowboys here unless things get super, super wonky. Cowboys defense also playing a bit better recently. Micah Parsons and Deron Bland both back. I don't think that'll stop the Bengals. I do think they deserve to be as favored as they are, but it should at least prevent big, big plays from being as common as they may be otherwise. So yeah, it's been a super high scoring week, and yeah, I understand why the total is here, but I do still want to go with the under 49.5 at -112 as the Bengals take on the Cowboys. Don't feel great about that, obviously, the way things have gone so far this week. But again, really tough to get a total of 50s when Cooper Rush is one of the starters. I think the Bengals -5.5 is about right. I've got that at 6.6 right now. It's not enough where I want to lay the points, but it does at least give me some more interest in player props in the Bengals side of things, because although I like the under, my Bengals team total number is mostly in line with market. So I'm going to look at unders on some other side of things, but the Bengals, I'm more willing to go with overs than I would be with the Cowboys. The one over I do like in this game is going to be on the Bengals side. And I want to go Chase Brown. Now, Chase Brown's a running back, so you would consider that to be the rushing prop for Brown, but instead, I actually like his receiving yardage prop. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Chase Brown's receiving yardage prop is 23.5, over is -113, and I think that's a pretty good number for him. He's gone over 23.5 in all 4 games that Zach Moss has missed. He's had 30-plus receiving yards in each of those. He's gone over it pretty easily in all 4 games. He's actually gotten to 50-plus receiving yards in 2 of those, and the volume is there. It's not just fluky plays. He has 5+ targets in all but 1 of those games, but they also give him good design on the touches he gets in the passing game, which means he can get you some chunk yardage, which is a key if we want to get to a not low number for receiving for a running back. It's a good combination of role and talent with Chase Brown. The game script may not be perfect if they do get a lead here, but I do still like it because Brown is talented and does get a good amount of work in the passing game, and they frankly just don't trust any of their backs in this team right now to be on the field. So Chase Brown over 23.5 at -113, my favorite over for this Bengals and Cowboys game. As far as unders go, those are primarily going to come on the Cowboys side of things. I do think they'll be able to run the football here. Sheldon Rankins, again, not going to play for the Bengals. Rankins has missed a couple games this year, and when that's happened, we've seen opposing teams be able to run pretty effectively. I can't get to Rico Dowdle's rushing prop over 67.5. That to me is too high, and again, goes counter to my overall thought process where I want unders on the Cowboys. But if they are able to run the ball effectively with Rico Dowdle, that means passing volume will likely decline for this offense. Again, despite the fact they are underdogs in this game. When I'm thinking about the passing game here for the Cowboys, I think back to last week, Brandon Cooks was back out there for the Cowboys, looked pretty good and was earning some volume out there. And I think that what he does is makes Jalen Tolbert a lesser focal point of the offense. Also, Jake Ferguson back from concussion for this week. So when we look at Jalen Tolbert's reception number, under 2.5 is -122 at FanDuel Sportsbook. I think that's a pretty good number to get him at. Tolbert has gone under this number in 3 of the 4 games that Cooper Rush has started this year. And they did not have Brandon Cooks for 3 of those. And now Jake Ferguson back as well. He's been out for most of that time too. So you add in Cooks, you add in Ferguson, and suddenly Tolbert's role in this offense becomes lessened. Now, that could lead you to look at the yardage prop for Jalen Tolbert, because that's not a big number. His yardage prop is at 25.5 right now. But the thing that Tolbert, I would still expect him to get is downfield work. And Rush can complete those passes. He had 41 yards on just 2 catches last week. So I don't want to go that route because there he could bite me on just 1 catch. So we should see the Cowboys be able to run the ball here with no Sheldon Rankins. They've been okay running the football in general too, but there's more target competition for Jalen Tolbert. Doesn't have Dak Prescott. Don't worry about long balls by going with the reception number versus the yardage number. I think that all sets up really well for an under on Tolbert. Again, buying into the fact that Ferguson is back, Brandon Cooks is back. It's not a pass-heavy offense, it's not a super efficient offense, so I'm okay taking the under on Jalen Tolbert. Under 2.5 receptions is -122 at FanDuel Sportsbook right now. Finally, I do think we can also take an under with Joe Burrow as well. And I'm not taking a yardage under with Burrow because Burrow is a freak and Jamar Chase is a psychopath. T. Higgins is very, very good. I don't want to deal with that. So instead, I want to go towards Joe Burrow's pass attempts number. Under 36.5 is -110. And this is not a market where a big play hurts us. In fact, it actually could benefit us because they run fewer plays if they bust off a big one and get the ball back to the Cowboys right away. Now, it's worth noting that Burrow has gone over 36.5 in 5 consecutive games. So if you're looking at just like from a trends perspective, you're not getting to this under super, super often. But it's also important to know the kind of game state the Bengals were in for most of those, because they've actually lost 4 of those 5 games. So they were in a negative game script. They're 5.5 point favorites here. My model says they should be favored by 6.6. So they should be able to control this game better than what they've done in those games where Burrow's been flying over this number. If you look at Burrow overall this year, he's got under 36.5 pass attempts in 5 games. 3 of those 5 came in their 4 wins this year. So if you look at the wins for the Bengals, Burrow's got under 36.5 pass attempts 75% of the time. Now, I just don't think they want to be this pass heavy because they get forced into it because the defense is so bad. But I don't think that's really what they want to be. I don't think they want to be in a situation where they're dropping back time after time after time, despite the fact they're very good at it. It shouldn't matter as much here, given they are favored, and I do think that they deserve to be as favored as they are right now. And as mentioned, you can also go under on the pass attempts by just being super efficient, which is something Burrow has done pretty consistently. That's intriguing to me as well. So it's a prop where there are a couple pass to and under. You could just kind of go under organically if the game plays out a neutral script. Could go under if they get a big lead, or just kind of maybe the play volume is low for the Bengals as well. I don't expect that one to be a super likely path to an under because of the tempo in this game is pretty good on both sides, but enough paths to an under for me to like the Burrow under pass attempts 36.5. Not dealing with Jamar Chase from an efficiency perspective, not dealing with T. Higgins. They can go for 100 with 2 touchdowns that they want. That won't matter here as long as the passing volume is low, which I do kind of hope it will be for this one. So taking Burrow under 36.5 minus 110. So the individual props I like for tonight, I like Chase Brown over 23.5 receiving yards at minus 113, liking Jalen Tolbert under 2.5 receptions at minus 122, and liking Joe Burrow under 36.5 pass attempts, that is minus 110. If we're going to build a same game parlay for this game, we want to build around the under and kind of have that be our baseline. And I'm taking the under as the first leg of our same game parlay. I don't want to go with the Chase Brown receiving yardage number because that's a positive one. It's yardage. If I'm taking overs, it'd be more so in terms of volume, catches and things like that. So I don't want to go there because it would hurt the odds that are under cashes. I think that the one that meshes best with the under is kind of going back to our assumption where the Cowboys run the football effectively, don't throw the ball a lot, don't do this kind of circus act they can sometimes do. That's what goes to the Tolbert under. So allow the Jalen Tolbert under 2.5 receptions and minus 122. So we've got these 2 legs, under 49.5, and Tolbert under 2.5 receptions at minus 122. You then kind of have to ask yourself, okay, which other bets are more likely to happen, or which bets go in line with this assumption that we do see a lower scoring game and don't see Tolbert super involved? Part of the reason I think that Tolbert won't be a huge focal point here is because both Jake Ferguson and Brandon Cooks are healthy. Ferguson's prop is very high, over 4.5 receptions is plus 106. That's a little bit juicy for me, but the Cooks number, over 2.5 receptions, plus 102, that one's not that bad. Because again, he had three receptions last week and had to 16 yards. So you don't need a whole lot out of Cooks for this number to go over. And if Brandon Cooks does get 3 receptions, that's not going to matter a ton with regards to the over in this one. So 3-leg same game parlay, under 49.5. Jalen Tolbert under 2.5 receptions and Brandon Cooks over 2.5 receptions, buying the fact that Tolbert likely a lesser focal point with Cooks and Ferguson now healthy. I think that those all play pretty well together. Combined odds on that 3-leg same game parlay plus 512, plus 512 at FanDuel Sportsbook. I think that does work pretty well for us to get these 3 legs home. And again, they don't cancel each other out too much, so feel pretty good about that. Again, under 49.5, Tolbert under 2.5 receptions, Cooks over 2.5 receptions, plus 512 at FanDuel Sportsbook. That is all that we have here for today, breaking down my thoughts on the Bengals and the Cowboys. Back with you once again tomorrow. Then we're going to go game by game through all NFL Week 15 games, breaking down my model's thoughts on the spreads and the totals of FanDuel Sportsbook and laying out my favorite bets for this week. To get that as we go live, subscribe to the brand new YouTube page, turn on notifications there, leave us a thumbs up as always. We appreciate those who have done so already. And subscribe to the Covering the Spread podcast feed wherever you get your podcasts. Big thank you to our YouTube producer, Justin Lane, for his work on the video side of things. Thank you, Justin, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you with your bets on Monday Night Football. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow to dig into NFL Week 15. This has been Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast.